Why are you waving your hands like that?
Hand sanitizer.
Oh, why?
Obviously.
Why'd you use hand sanitizer?
I'm going to take a COVID test. I figured that would be good listening content.
You're going to take a COVID test right now?
Yeah, I waited until we started recording.
See, that's what that crinkling was.
Sorry. I only have one more thing to open.
Well, get it over with.
Okay.
Where do you think you got COVID from?
Your mom.
Welcome to My Top Everything. I'm your host, Marion.
I'm Kara.
And I'm Mara.
This is a podcast where the three of us argue about anything and everything, and we force the people closest to us to listen to it. Before we start the episode this week, does anyone have any updates?
I have an update. My coworker was listening to the What I Would Do for $1 Million episode, and she brought up the point that Marion, you didn't say who would pay for you to go live in the woods. You made Kara and I say, no, you didn't.
Are you sure she didn't mean I didn't say who would pay me to watch sports? Because I did with the woods. Yeah, it was like I had one for the number 2 and number 3. I had one for, like basically it would be a book deposit for number 2. And then obviously number 3 is Survivor. My number 1, I did not say, which I also noticed, but you can't go back after,
I just want to,
when you're editing.
Yeah, it was noted.
Well,
minus 1 point?
No.
Yeah.
No, the people who would, no. The people who would pay for me to, what was it? It was watch every single football game. Sports game for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Who'd you say would pay for you to go live in the woods?
Like a publishing house that they would give me in advance.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I equated it to Walden, and then nobody knew who
I don't know Walden. If that's the point of this.
And then we edited that out because I was kind, and we didn't put that part in the podcast, did we?
So here we go. You want to play with fire?
Maybe we'll get that little recording back where everyone's trying to figure out who wrote Walden.
I feel like you
did not remember, Kara. You did not get it right.
But I remember now.
Oh my God.
Okay. Well, it doesn't count.
That doesn't count.
I'm excited because I remember something.
I'm just saying maybe I'll get that recording and we'll put that right here.
Do it.
That's my blackmail. Do it?
Do it. I don't give a f***. There are more embarrassing things I have not known the answer to.
All right. The person who would pay for me to watch a bunch of sports.
Lay it on us.
For 2 seasons, every single game. Either someone who wants to watch a person die of boredom and is looking for the perfect way to do that and is hoping that I will die of boredom. They would probably pay for it. Or maybe like a really egotistical, like 3rd string football player who feels like no one's watching the games that he's in, and he doesn't even really want me to, he just wants me to look in at the sidelines the whole time during the games.
Oh my God, that would be awful if your eyes had to watch.
To like watch him. Though I don't know why he would pay me for all the other games too.
Or somebody could pay you to try to, maybe you're helping them. Like, how do we get women to watch sports?
Yes.
Or people in LA to watch, like maybe you're the demographic where they're like, we need more. Like baseball, how baseball's dying, How
do we interest someone into watching this? Final answer. I figured it out. The person who's paying me to watch all of these games, every single game, is somebody from the past who has figured out how to go to the future. No, it's somebody now. It's somebody now who built a time machine, and they want to go back.
You're
So
starting
there's
gambling?
time travel in it, and they're trying to get sports bets.
Yeah.
And they want me to find as much information as possible so they can make a bunch of money on the sports bets.
That's how in the Netflix hit show Travelers, they have these people called historians, and they know like the correct things to bet on so that they can get money for their team right away.
Huh.
It's a good show. You should check it out.
Yeah, so that's basically that's it. There, we answered their question.
Hope you're happy,
Thanks. Thanks, listener.
So much enthusiasm. Thanks, listener.
No more updates. I'll say I just listened.
No more
I just listened to number 7, our episode number 7.
Which is?
Are we that far?
Top 3 worst things I've witnessed a child do.
Oh, yeah.
And in it, I keep saying the word auto cannibalism, and the two of you don't seem to know what that is. And so then while I was re-listening to it, I looked it up, and it's a real thing, and it's when you eat parts of yourself. So
Does it count if you're eating like burgers or hair or like toenails? Like, does that count as auto cannibalism?
I hate this conversation. This is fucking disgusting.
Or like if you swallow
this is going back to watching that kitty to scab, man.
if you accidentally
yes, that's
swallow
why
your
I
own
said
tooth.
it. That is why I said it, Kara. That is in that conversation. I said
my mouth is watering again. Can we stop talking about eating boogers
because
and
you want to
toenails?
eat them. Your mouth is watering. One
No,
moment,
I'm gonna
please.
vomit.
One moment, please.
Do you know there's a part in the Harry Potter book
No.
where Harry he says diagonally wrong and he gets shot into the other
Diagonal alley. Yeah, diagonally.
Yeah, diagonally. And he
idiot.
ends up in that really weird, creepy place. In the book, he's walking around and there's a witch and she has a plate full of nails, just like fingernails, toenails, all sorts of stuff. And Harry accidentally knocks it and he gets like sort of covered in fingernails and it is disgusting.
They could have left that detail in.
Auto cannibalism
been
is
funny.
when you eat hair, nails, scabs, anything like that. So
I can't wait to call people out on audible cannibalism. Auto cannibalism.
audible cannibalism is a little different.
Podcast version of
Cannibalism.
We actually have an episode where we do that. If anyone wants to watch,
Stay
it's
tuned.
bonus content.
Extra content. You have to.
You have to
Subscribe.
become a patron.
hit that like
Yeah,
button.
no, you got to slide into my Venmo.
And you'll get,
Yeah,
you'll get an audible cannibalism.
I'll do it.
special.
Dare me.
Ew. God, I've learned about, you know what I've learned in this podcast is that Mara will eat doors. She will eat toenails. She will put anything in her mouth. Is what
I'm pretty
learning.
sure in that she said she would not eat another human. I'm pretty sure she said she wouldn't do cannibalism.
Prions. I would eat like my hair, my nails, probably a booger. You ever just get like a clear one? That's not going to taste like much. That already sometimes gets in my mouth anyway. Let's go.
Ah! Oh my God, I need to like mute you for a minute. This is terrible.
All right, so our topic.
Yeah, can we move on to the topic, please?
I thought you said we weren't going to interrupt each other as much.
I'm glad you left me out of that because I am pretty good.
Yes.
About doing
Here
it.
we go. All right, here we go. Our topic this week is my top 3 ghost encounters. Mara, it's been a while. Maybe you should start us off.
While. Thank you. We're back at it. I'm glad we're in the magic. We're in the sweet zone, the good place, if you will.
Is the good place when you get to go first?
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought you were referencing because heaven, ghosts. I thought you were making a reference.
I mean, probably a little.
I mean, probably. Sure.
To be frank,
I've heard it both ways.
Yeah. To be completely upfront, I don't feel like I've had any actual ghost encounters. But my first one is something that caused me a lot of nightmares. The year is 2002. I'm in 5th grade. How old does that make me? It doesn't matter.
10.
I'm 10.
You were born in 92.
92, 2002, The math is difficult.
She's a
for
chemist, y'all. She does.
Ooh.
She makes sure that you are safe.
I looked at too many numbers today to do simple math like that.
That's fair, I guess. We'll give it to you.
It's really a work situation, not a free life.
Yeah,
I'm 10.
You don't have a free life.
And I don't know who turned this movie on, but if you've ever seen the movie Ghost Ship, that movie gave me nightmares for, like, I still think about it and shiver. It's about, apparently it's based off of a true story. I don't know how much I believe that, but whatever. It's a maritime mystery, and these people come across a ship that appears to have nobody on it. And from what I remember, because I absolutely fucking refuse to ever watch it again, they get on the ship and all I can remember is like it towards the end of the movie or the middle. At some point in this movie, they start showing how all of these people on this ghost ship died. And they like came up with some of the worst ways to watch people die. And just freaked me out. And it was mostly the visuals. Like one of the giant group of people died because their food got poisoned with rat poisoning. And then the image that sticks with me the most is this singer is walking along on the top of the deck. And
Are you okay?
no.
Are you? Wow, it just really got you.
And this hook comes out of nowhere and hooks her in the jaw, and it goes through her head, and then she's just swinging on
like
this.
a fish.
Yeah.
Maritime movie.
Awful. It like goes through her head.
But so this is a fictional thing about ghosts?
It sounds like it's about people dying.
Ooh. Okay, do I have COVID?
Sorry, everybody. We have to take a little pause here.
If you want to
It's
know
been
how much
15
content,
minutes.
if you want to know how much content has been cut, just do the math.
No, you guys, I don't have COVID. I'll take another one tomorrow morning. Don't worry, guys.
Nice.
I won't endanger you.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
For which result, we'll never know.
I think we know. So I don't know. I just have all these horrible images stuck in my head from that movie, and it scared me. And I had a lot of nightmares about it. And the ghosts on that ship were not nice.
So the ghosts caused the death of the people that you're talking about.
From my memory, a bunch of people on the ship go evil, and then they like start killing people off, like putting rat poison in the food. And then and I can't remember if it's like a ghost possession into a body that's like, okay, we're going to go. Like if the ship was haunted to begin with, and I like just don't need to go back and look.
Yeah.
So we're not quite sure how much ghost content is actually in this.
The whole
Sounds
thing
like
is called the Ghost Ship.
Maybe that's the name of the ship.
Incorrect.
It sounds like a bunch of murders by people.
No. Who goes
so that's
next?
Yeah.
Okay. So my number 3 top ghost story is it happened while I was around, but I don't have memories of it. So my mom, my brother, and I were living in a rental house in Des Moines at the time, and I think we lived there from when I was like 3 to 5, maybe. It's where that McDonald's is now, and so apparently, it's a 2-bedroom rental, and there's 3 of us. So my mom lovingly gave each of us our own bedroom, and then she slept on the porch every night. And I learned today that she had to fold out her bed every evening, sleep on a folding couch, and then fold it back up in the morning. And I said, why didn't you just leave it out? And she said, that's how we got out of the house. So she had to do that every day.
God.
Yeah.
So much effort. And I was like, wow, that sucks. And she was like, no, it was the coziest thing in the world. And I was like, oh, you got a real positive connotation about that. And I guess that we had a bookshelf on the porch, and my mom like loaded it up with plants. And it's a solid bookshelf, not one that's like a board and then, like hangers underneath. It's like an actual bookshelf. And apparently my mom has a connection with ghosts and can apparently feel their aura and hear them and things like that. and apparently knows their genders because we talked about a couple of stories. So apparently there was a male ghost at this rental house, and my mom said that he was not angry, but that he would sometimes like mess with stuff in the house. And the one that she brought up most was every once in a while she would come home and there would be like a plant shifted on the bookshelf, or he would knock down a couple. So apparently, like, depended on what we were doing at the time, but she would like talk to the ghost and like ask him to stop and things like that. And after I think a year, she said that the plants stopped like falling off the bookshelf and breaking and stuff like that.
He got bored.
Okay.
I also in that house, and I asked my mom if she thinks this is related, but she doesn't, and I do. So, see what she says. But I also got my head stuck between the bed and the nightstand one night while I was sleeping. Like I woke up with my head, I had fallen off the bed and my head got stuck between the bed and the nightstand. And I was just like sitting there screaming and crying because I was like, what the heck just happened? I think ghost might have pushed me off the bed.
It's like, you're not going to let me touch the plants. I'll touch your other babies.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. That seems like a big thing for ghosts to do to you.
Yeah. I mean, I also like, right? Harry Potter has like ghosts, and then they have the poltergeist. Poltergeist. So that means that the ghost in our rental house must have been a poltergeist.
Yes. Yeah. If you believe in that sort of thing.
Mara, do you believe in ghosts?
I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
Answer leans towards no. I would love to have a ghost encounter. Prove me wrong, mother universe.
I
think there is. I think like we look at ghosts as in a weird way. I think like that energy like probably does stay around. Like if we think about how there are dimensions, like fourth, fifth, sixth dimensions that we don't understand.
Yeah.
I feel like we see results of those. Like if there's another dimension of energy that we can't sense, then these encounters are things where we like see the results of that energy. But because of our senses, we can only sense a very small amount of like whatever's going on.
I like the energy shifting theory of ghosts, like what you just described there a bit. That's the one I can get the most behind.
My number 3 ghost encounter has to do with this current apartment.
Right.
Basically. Yeah. Basically, like, so I would say I really have actually had 3 major like encounters, quote unquote, in my existence so far. And I feel like I don't go looking for them, but like certain places kind of, it usually starts off as a joke. Like here, the doors would start shutting randomly, or like the bathroom door was hard to get out of, and it could have been a draft. It probably was a draft, but I would like be like, oh, ghost, whatever, like that's a ghost. But then like weirder things have happened in here since then. Like one time, so I've been jokingly like saying, oh, the ghost in the apartment to Matt. I'll say the apartment ghost. We have these automatic feeders for the cats, and don't ruin this for me, Mara. But basically, like the feeder will every once in a while like let out like 1 or 2 pieces of food randomly.
Interesting.
Does that happen with your feeder?
You said don't ruin it.
You can ruin it.
That's a yes.
Does it?
Yeah, all the time.
You probably have a ghost too.
I did.
So,
yeah, yes.
But here's the weird part.
You see that basement apartment?
Here's the weird part is that one time I was in this room right here, which is like my office / cat room. And Matt was like telling me he didn't think Bingley was really eating much like lately. Like he hadn't been seeing Bingley eat. And I immediately got very freaked out because I don't like hearing that about my cat.
Yeah.
And then as he finished saying it, the cat feeder in the room dispensed like 2 pieces of food right then, and Bingley was right there with us, and Bingley ran and ate it. And I was like, apartment ghost wanted me to know. I think the ghost or the energy in this apartment is very positive, very helpful, protective energy. And Like, I think if there is a ghost here, it likes us. It likes having people around. So I'm working. It's a job where I work remotely. And then like one day they're like, can you be on set? And I like never go on set. And I usually wake up like literally at 10 a.m. every day to do this job. Like my job started at 10 a.m. I would literally roll out of bed, put on my laptop.
That's
but they
the
were like, your
dream.
call time is 9 a.m. Can you be there at 9 a.m.? I said, yes. I set my alarm the night before. I go to bed. I'm sleeping. And I hear Matt, my partner, say, it's 9 a.m. And that jolts me out of my sleep because I'm like, oh my God. And I like immediately look over because I'm confused. Like my alarm didn't go off. And I look over to him and he's asleep facing the other way from me. And I like shake him awake. I'm like, did you just say it was 9 a.m.? And he was like, what? No. And then he goes back to sleep. I almost went back to sleep because I was like, okay, I was just obviously stressed about being late. Like my alarm didn't go off.
Yeah, when you like
Probably
wake up
fine.
out of stress. Yeah.
Yeah, like I woke up, maybe I woke up at like 6 a.m. out of stress and I have 3 hours or well, not 3 hours, but whatever.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wake up at 9 a.m. to be there at 9 a.m. Anyway, so I just glance at my phone just in case. And then my phone says that's 8:58 a.m. And I was obviously like very late, but that part was crazy because I would have sworn like it was so clear that it was his voice waking me up that it jolted me out of my sleep. Like I was in the middle of dreaming, I was sleeping like, and how would I know that it was 9 a.m. inherently within myself?
Circadian rhythm.
Exactly. But not because I never woke up at 9 a.m. I'd always wake up like later. So like, it's not like like it would make more sense if I had woken up at 10 a.m. because that's the normal time I would wake up. Like, it doesn't make sense why I woke up at that time.
This one I believe in the ghost. This is
Yes.
This was the first one. So then I was looking for ways to corroborate it after. I was like, oh, because I feel like maybe the ghost used a lot of energy to break into my dimension so that I would sense it more fully. And it was like, I got to use a different voice. I got to use this guy's voice or else it's going to scare the shit out of her. So I feel like it was trying to mimic Matthew.
Yeah, because if it had been a different voice, you would have, I feel like thought it was a part of your dream.
Oh.
Who knows? Yeah, like maybe I would have ignored it. Maybe I would have been scared. I don't know. But
it's a smart ghost.
Yeah. So that's my number 3.
Do you have a sense?
It have a name?
Do you have it?
What?
Does this ghost have a name?
I'm sorry.
Name. Is there a name?
Let's. I call it. Well, first it was apartment ghost.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's
Classic.
ghost cat.
Cute.
There is no name. I have a feeling,
Dennis.
not kind of like your mom, but I feel very much like this ghost is female. If I had to guess, has a very different energy from the other 2 encounters I'm going to talk about, and there's something very friendly about it that makes me think that it's got some feminine energy, whether or not it's female. Yeah. Whether I don't know if energy can be gendered, but
she thinks so. We spoke about quite a few ghosts, and she would gender each of them. That's why I asked why she gendered them.
I love
certainly
that.
The nicest ghost of them.
Yeah,
I feel very comfortable.
My mom said that she's never been scared of a ghost, so she's had a bunch of.
What was that?
What the fuck was that?
You guys.
Oh my God.
Listen.
Grayson, did you make a noise?
Dead silent in here.
Oh my God.
What was that? It sounded like a bag or something.
Did our groceries just fall off the counter?
I think it was the groceries.
You guys have a haunted apartment.
Was it?
This is why I didn't want to talk about it on the podcast,
wow.
man.
Listen, was it the ghost trees?
I'll be right back.
Oh my God. I can't come away from this thinking that I live with a ghost. I live alone. That's just not in the cards. All right.
For what it's worth, Bandy looked at the door and started growling after that happened. So.
No, she did not.
Oh my God.
She is literally still staring at the door.
Huh.
No, she's looking at me.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh my God.
It was the groceries. It was a bag of groceries that fell off the counter.
How'd you set it on the counter?
Grayson set it up, and then I did grab a pepper out of there earlier.
Okay.
But I mean, it was on the counter.
Gravity.
This is my number one. No, I'm just kidding.
Honorable mention.
It's just like a really odd time for that to happen.
Yeah, it is.
We never had
Grayson
your
didn't even
groceries
hear
fall during
I'm
the
glad
podcast.
that you could hear it on the podcast. I'm glad that the podcast caught it.
I thought
hope
it was
it
Bandy.
did.
I thought it was your dog getting into something.
I couldn't. Yeah, it's not. But I would have been able to hear. That was so scary.
Maybe everyone has.
I don't even remember what I was going to say.
Number 2, ghost encounter, aka not really an encounter because I don't think I've had an encounter. My number 2 for this day, I like that I'm going to be the skeptic. I'm Scully.
Scully.
From the X-Files.
Skeptic?
X-Files.
Wow.
Oh,
Jesus.
Kara.
Some of us don't do sci-fi and it shows.
X-Files?
Good one, Mara. You got it.
Isn't X-Files like... it's like cold cases or something? What is X-Files?
No. X-Files is paranormal. It's the FBI secretly investigating like paranormal incidents and crime.
All fiction, I'm assuming.
Okay.
Real.
There has to be some real on that show. There's no doubt in my mind. There's some real conspiracy theories
There's some real conspiracy theories.
But it's about 2 partners and they've got like sexual tension that's never really addressed. And one of them is a skeptic and one of them is a believer.
Got it.
Okay.
So, but why would you work on sorry, this is ridiculous. Why would you work on a case, or why would your whole career be dedicated to something that you don't believe in? I guess you would be disproving it.
Yes.
That's your whole
You figured it out.
Thank you. I am a genius.
My next 2 are kind of religious related. It's 2, but I'm lumping it into one. My number 2 is like religious related. The Catholic Church has of different patrons.
Let her figure it out.
Yeah.
Patron saints.
Yes. Nailed it. Just grew up saying that every day. So.
Yikes.
Patron saints. Patron saints.
Of like different things. So like Saint Anthony is the patron saint of lost things. And so you would pray to him and he would help you find things.
What happened?
Listen,
Wait, sorry.
something just knocked.
No.
Did you hear that?
No.
Did Bandy freak out because Grayson looked over?
Bandy is literally at the door panicking right now.
You guys, I am not okay.
I just gotta shut my window really quick before we continue this.
Is someone knocking on our door?
I don't know.
Well, go check. Haley might be here for Megan's packages.
Oh, somebody is. Okay.
I don't need that full out of body experience to be happening tonight, but thank you. Oh my God.
This is special.
Yikes.
We're like creeping ourselves out.
Yeah, I am my own worst enemy in these situations.
Why don't you continue on?
Nothing specific happened, but I do feel like praying to St. Anthony would help me find things. And part of me wonders if it's like meditation that like in praying, I would bring myself to a calming place and then I would stop some of the frantic energy and I'd be able to find what I was looking for. But also in order to be a saint in the Catholic Church, you have to have performed miracles after your death. And so maybe it was St. Anthony.
So my number 2, I've only had, other than the one in the rental house, I've only had 2 ghost encounters myself. And this is anyway. So I worked at Hannah Shaw. I'm going to talk about camp every single episode, I think. So I was a counselor at camp. I think it was my first or second year. And we have like all the dining, basically everything except for our horse barn is down a hill, and you have a very large road that goes between the two, or you can cut through basically like the woods and like an old abandoned part of camp to get down to the main camp. And so I was walking all the campers down from the barn one day, and I'm like I'm in the front, and I'm like singing songs and telling stories and things like that, trying to keep them entertained. And I can hear like, you know, the pitter patter of feet and like giggles and stuff like that. And I'm walking, and I probably walked for like 10, if not more, 10 minutes. And I turned around at one point because I had asked a question and nobody answered. I turned around, and I am the complete alone.
No.
I have no one else around me. And it's not like, I don't think it was like the rustle of the wind, right? Because it was like pitter patter of feet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like giggles. There were fucking giggles. And this was what everyone else believes is the most haunted part of camp. And I had never believed it before, because before this, I had never had a ghost encounter. And I don't know what happened to those children. I ran down the hill, and I said, they will figure it out. And I got down to camp, and I think I grabbed a van or something to go pick them up. But I was like, I am not going back.
Oh
There's no way.
You're like, they're
so
lost
scary.
now. That's
Yeah.
the end. I'm just
The
making
ghosts
more
took 'em.
ghosts. That's probably their ploy is like freak out the counselors.
Ghost
so that way the kids are
pyramid.
alone. Yeah, ghost pyramid, like a
Pyramid scheme.
like a pyramid
scheme
scheme
of
for ghosts.
Like, if you want to continue being a counselor here, you have to contribute to the forest.
Choose your least favorite this week.
Oh man,
It might be hard.
Yeah.
that's so funny. Yeah, did you tell anyone about that?
Oh, I told everyone about it. And everybody else. And also because I don't know if it's because of camp and everybody's like super extra and we're all like 18 to 21 at the time, but everybody else came back with their camp ghost stories. And it was specifically that location is called I can't remember what it's called. So like Outpost or something like that. It used to be where we had covered old horse wagons. And that's where we would, like the campers would sleep. It's now not used. It's just abandoned horse wagons. In the middle of the woods. And then the other place that people say, the other three, it's a very haunted place, is the first building ever built on the camp property, the old mess hall, which is now like our art center, and then our arts building, which was, I think, the second building ever built on camp. And everybody has their own, like, one time somebody was in like the drama by themselves, and like a dress flew off of the hanger or whatever. And
Static electricity.
there's all sorts of... I mean, yeah, people use all sorts of reasons not to believe in ghosts.
Can't wait for you to explain this one, Mara.
Okay.
That I'm about to do, because it's really a doozy.
Oh, and-
I have been waiting for someone to explain this one my whole life. So at our high school,
Is this your number 2?
this is my number 2 ghost encounter. At our high school in Des Moines, Iowa. What? I'm not allowed to say that?
I feel
It's
like
fine.
it just makes it that much easier to find me and kill me.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay, we'll bleep it out.
Can you
and
bleep? Yeah, bleep each word though. Bleep, 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 bleep.
I think you bleep
In Des
out.
Moines, Iowa.
That's even too much in Iowa. That's too much.
Can I say it's a former?
I mean, they know we went to Brody, so
that's
we've
true.
already.
Maybe you don't
already
have to bleep it
We
out.
can bleep the word and they won't know. It's a former something, and you can try and figure out what.
Is it? Is it?
Wait, no,
knows?
now you're saying no. Bleep all of that. Just a million bleeps.
This whole episode's just gonna be a big bleep.
You come in and it's like, it sounds like they're doing a test on a TV.
All right. So we went to high school. Is that safe to say, everybody?
Period.
I
We
accept.
went to high school. Period.
We went to high school. It was a pretty old building. It had this really like amazing theater, like beautiful, with a really like ornate balcony. And like, I think it had been there like the whole time the school had been there.
Yeah.
And I was a big drama nerd, big drama geek. Not to flex, but one year I spent so much time at drama club instead of living the rest of my life that I could have lettered over 3 times in just drama. Yeah, with all the
Ew.
points. Yeah. Anyway, so
I forgot about
I was
lettering.
yeah, right.
What a weird era of our lives.
How dedicated are you to this after school activity? We're going to measure your dedication and decide if you get a letter. So we had this theater, and there was a story that our drama teacher would talk about, that there was a ghost of a former student. I believe the lore was that the student had like flung themselves off the balcony or something, and we called him Clyde. I know, very exciting, very grim, macabre.
He died, right?
That's
how we got
the
the
story.
ghost.
Yes,
that's
how
the theory.
that's how they get made. That's how ghosts are made.
Right.
They're not delivered by a stork.
Took me 6 stories to get there.
Someone has to die. Yeah. So anyway, Clyde probably supposedly, went out the balcony, and we would, every time anything happened, it was like, oh, Clyde. So I was working up in the light booth, which is right at the balcony, which overlooks like the audience and the stage. There's like this light booth up at the top of the balcony, and behind that is like where we keep all of our extra wardrobe, like clothing items, and behind that is even like this like weird kind of like empty attic space where like people used to graffiti in the 50s. Like people would have their names and hearts, and it would say like 9952 or whatever.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
No, it wasn't cool. It was creepy as and you had to keep, if you were in the light booth and you were looking down, then you just had like, there was no door to that back part where like literally a person could camp out there and you would never know. And so it was very creepy always being there, because I felt like my back was always exposed. But
yeah.
One night I was turning off all of the equipment and I was going down. We had lights on the rails of the balcony that would shine down on the stage, and I was turning those off. And there are mezzanines on the balcony and in the lower section. And mezzanines are like, well, sorry, not mezzanines. There are vomitoriums. And the voms are these like straight, I don't know, like hallways basically that lead out. And so on either side of the balcony, you could take the voms and they would lead you like to the high school hallway.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And they were locked from the outside. So like if you were in the hallway, you couldn't open these doors and get into the voms. They were like one way. If you were in the balcony, like auditorium, you could get out through the voms. Because like obviously we didn't want people breaking in to like take any of the equipment. So I'm like, turning off my lights, and suddenly I hear a noise from the left vom, and out of the darkness, because it's like this ramp that just goes up into the dark, so like you can't see into the back. Out of the darkness, this Lipton iced tea bottle is thrown and comes tumbling down, like down the ramp at me. And it's got like what looks like cloudy piss, honestly, in it, but it's not open. It's like not like the thingy, the like seal still on it, and it's completely full. Like completely full. Like if you know how in bottles that are unopened, like usually you can tip it and like there's that little air bubble. Yeah. None of that. It's completely full, and it was unopened. And there was, at first I was like, there must be somebody there. Like I was confused, and I went up and I was like, hello, and like went into the vom, into the dark, which now I'm like, why? That was stupid. But there was nobody in there. And the thing is that I don't know if you remember, but if you opened the vom doors, it was so loud. Like it was so loud. Like we couldn't do it like during the plays or anything. You would have to wait until there was clapping or scene break, because like the noise was so loud.
Yeah.
So like I know that nobody was in there and like went out or in. And I know that nobody could have opened the door from the outside. So like this bottle literally came from like nowhere. I was very confused, freaked out. I just left after that. So that's one that I'm like, explain that to me.
Was
because
the bottle
like there's
sealed with plastic?
No, but even so.
So then how do you know it was unopened?
The little, the ring, and when it's like still connected to the cap.
Oh, it's a plastic.
Yes, sorry. It's a plastic Lipton iced tea bottle that you'd get out of like a vending machine.
Yeah.
but also how to get thrown. Like it was like with such force and velocity. And that's when I'm like, how does like energy's got to have different dimensions that we don't understand, because like where this object came from or how it works, I do not understand how this like got here. So like I can't explain what happened with the bottle because it's beyond like my senses as a third dimensional creature.
It fell down.
Was this
you were walking down a ramp and it came up the ramp?
No. I was at the bottom of the ramp. The ramps like went down to the balcony.
Yeah.
I was at the bottom of the ramp. It worked with velocity or with gravity, but it was like someone had thrown it, but nobody was there. Like, where did the bottle come from? There's nothing in the ramps. There's nowhere for it to be.
Yeah.
And why would it like suddenly be thrown and start rolling towards me?
Here's my theory. Somebody was up there with you the entire time and you just didn't know it.
Then how did I not see them?
They were like in one of the they were hiding. They
can't hide in the vom. They can't hide in it. There's nowhere to hide. It's just a ramp.
They were there.
It's like a hallway that's sloped, right? Like
it's just
got
like
walls
literally
on both sides.
like it's just like a tunnel, for lack of a better term, but there's doors at the end of the hall, and it's not a very long hall. It's just like a ramp that goes out.
Didn't you also, I remember this, if I remember it right, you went and found somebody and the two of you went back and tried to find if somebody was there, right?
No, I don't remember that.
Oh, okay.
I was like the last one up there. I was like closing down for the night. There's nobody else. But
And the
also
color, the color of the liquid in the Lipton tea bottle is not a color
it was
that
like
you...
kind of Lipton tea colored, but it was cloudier. Maybe it's just because it'd been thrown. But like, to me, it looked unnatural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But mostly it was the part where this object appeared to have been thrown. I thought somebody had thrown it. Like, it came with like force and velocity.
Yeah.
And then I literally directly went to the direction of where it had been tossed.
And there was nobody
and
there.
Nobody was there. And there's no way for anybody to be there. Like, because the door doesn't open. Like, if someone wanted to pull a prank and just open the door and throw something down the ramp at me, they can't do that because the door's locked on the other side.
And limited people had keys.
Only Mrs. V had a key. Only the drama teacher had a key. So, unless she was
keeping Clyde alive.
That would be so entertaining as a teacher.
There was another, just one more with Clyde. Everyone has a story about Clyde, kind of like Hannah Shaw. But like one time, Mrs. V called us all to do notes. Like at the end of every rehearsal, she would call everyone down and we would sit around and she would give notes. And we were all sitting there and she was the only one on the stage and she was standing and she was reading out her notes. And then from the balcony, like this dowel, like a wooden dowel, like basically a round cylinder stick, like came flying from the balcony at her. Didn't hit her, just landed on the stage. But nobody was up there because we were all down. Like literally all the cast and crew were down there, like listening to her notes. And it was just like out of nowhere. And she was like, okay, Clyde. And everyone was like freaking out. Everyone was like, oh my God. Because there's like 30, 40 witnesses. Like it's not like, it's like all of us. And we all know, like, it's not like we're like, oh, Jerry's missing. Like everybody's here.
Yeah.
So that one was also crazy. So Clyde was a very, very powerful entity.
Yes.
That's all I know. Because Clyde could like make things move and appear that like did not exist before. Like it didn't make sense. Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Okay, let's go to our sponsors.
Our number 3 sponsor today is my mother, who has cultivated a very comfortable discussion around ghosts and entities in my life. And she is always very good about accepting them and talking to them and treating them with respect. And I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mom.
Wow, you're really sucking up to your mom now that you know she's going to listen to the podcast.
It's a good number 3 sponsor, Kara.
I
would do
Love
it
you,
again.
Mom. Don't judge me for my previous podcast episodes. Kate, love you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, thanks.
Our number 2 sponsor is my impending unemployment, because I think it's going to give me a lot of time to think about the podcast and, really dedicate myself to it. And our number 1 sponsor this week is Historical Ghost Tours, which need us to believe in ghosts. Otherwise, none of us would learn our history. So I do believe that there's some underground thing where historians are probably, helping keep the ghost lore alive.
Yeah.
So that way we'll pay attention to history.
I mean, I've paid for lots of tours that are centered about ghosts. One of my favorite was the
Sometimes
nighttime.
I'll go to a city. Sometimes I'll go to a city, and that's the only tour I'll take. Ghost
Correct.
tour. Should we do our number 1s?
My number 1 ghost encounter has to do... I have an honorable mention.
Okay.
The phobia of demons coming out of mirrors. Just that entire thing. My best friend from college. And I would have what we called NLFNs, and it stood for No Life Friday Nights. And we would just hang out every Friday and have sleepovers. And inevitably freak ourselves out by looking in the mirrors because we thought demons were going to come out at us. And so we had to cover all the mirrors. And then we would share a twin bed at night. We'd sleep in the same twin bed. It was good.
That's cute.
It was cute. It was nice. Hope you're
Sounds
doing well,
like
Linda.
an excuse to just hang out in a bed together at night.
Ah, interesting. But my real number 1 is my mom is a nurse, and she used to work on a ventilator unit, and she used to work nights and weekend nights. And sometimes I would go visit her at night. Her floor at the hospital used to be a hospice floor, and there were rumored to be ghosts there. I have no proof that this was a ghost encounter, but apparently one of the nuns of the hospital frequented their floor, and at one point she sneezed and somebody said bless you, and she turned around and no one was there. Sure, all right, Mom, you work in night shifts on the weekend, sure, you're not just tired, but maybe. But when I went there one time to visit her, because sometimes they would just come in, teenagers don't have a lot to do in the place that we grew up. And I'm a night owl. And she got called into this room, and without being prompted, this guy just sat up from so some context. The ventilator unit is usually a lot of people hooked up to a ventilator. And so they're not very mobile patients. All right. Sometimes they're just kind of there. And this guy without being prompted, just sat straight up, and his eyes were so open, you could see the whites on all sides, and he was just staring at me, and he didn't say anything. And we made the most stupid, prolonged eye contact, and it was...
you had a freeze moment.
It was terrifying.
Did he go back? What happened after that?
I only remember his eyes. I can't remember if I left right away. There's no way I left without saying goodbye. Midwestern goodbyes, even in the worst times.
Midwestern goodbye ghost.
I'm assuming I just went back to the nurse's station and hung out. Or went and sat in her chair so that I couldn't see him.
That's fair. I think it's Chinese people. I saw this on TikTok. They predict whether or not somebody will be a certain way based on how much white of somebody's eye you can see. So if you see, if they are sitting normally and you can see the white underneath someone's eye, it indicates they'll die an early death, if I remember right. And if you can see the white on top of someone's iris and pupil and stuff, that means that they're a psychopath. And I don't disagree. It's pretty, like, neither of you have it. I have seen people since that I have noticed, and it is terrifying when you can see the white above or below.
I
haven't heard that. I have to look that up.
I have heard the thing about if you can see the whites, like if the whites underneath your iris, the colored part in your eyeball, that it does mean ill health. I don't remember the
It's like almost like it's droopy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I feel like Grayson's story deserves like a whole thing, but the short version, honorable mention, is that Grayson he was living in a duplex in North Minneapolis, and was home alone and loaded the dishwasher, went back to his office and was like playing.
He's already shaking his head. Just let him tell it real quick.
It's the washer, not the dishwasher.
It's a laundry machine, he says.
Washer. That's what we call a washer.
Right.
Anyway, he's like, he loaded the washer, put some clothes in, put the soap in, closed the lid. It was a top loading one.
Okay.
Closed the lid and it started like going. He goes back into his office. He's like doing whatever computer engineers do. And then like 10 minutes later, 20 minutes later, comes back out and sees that the lid is open and goes to check it out. And it's half full of water. And the lid had popped up vertically up, and it was sitting open. Sorry, the water was completely... Grayson, would you like to tell your story in a quick fashion?
You're almost done. You've got this. You got it.
I do got it.
So the lid was open?
So the lid was open, and so Grayson thought that there was somebody in the house, and so he grabs his knife, and he starts running around the house, checking, like, the closets, checking everybody's bedrooms, checking all the bathrooms behind the curtain, all that kind of stuff. Checks like the crawl space and everything. And there is absolutely no one.
I love the idea that if there was somebody in the house, the thing they would want to do is open the laundry lid. That's one thing.
That's their like sadistic, like, boop, just
you got to go with the most rational thing first, which is something of our dimension opened my washing machine.
But is it not possible that you just didn't close the lid?
No, because if it's sitting open, it turns off. It doesn't fill. It doesn't run. I tried a bunch of different ways to make that to make it run with the lid open, and it doesn't. It wouldn't. So yeah.
Sometimes
so then Grayson's running around with a knife, trying to stab nothing. And so he realizes, like, all the doors are locked, all the windows are locked. There's no one possibly in the house. He's checked a bunch. And then anyway, eventually he goes outside because he's freaked out. He like locks the house up and he goes and sits in his car, and he sits down in his car and he sees somebody pull up behind, and he's like on a not busy street. It's like a residential street. There's no cars around. And he sits in his car, and then a car pulls up directly behind his, and the person's got his hands, or theirs, couldn't really see the face, I guess, got their hands on the steering wheel, and then they just sit there staring at Grayson, not moving. And Grayson went, nope, and drove away. And
I'm sorry. So you went around your house with a knife, didn't find anybody there, and then proceeded to go sit in your car in North Minneapolis? You thought that was the best plan of events?
I was trying to decide whether or not to leave.
Yeah.
And eventually I did. I'm sure the person that pulled up behind me was just a normal ass person.
Probably high as potentially.
Yeah. I don't think it's normal for ghosts to come pulling up in a red Pontiac Sunfire, but that was definitely the catalytic event that caused me to, as the kids say, dip the out of there. And
yeah, takes one thing sometimes.
I just fucking got the hell out of there, and I actually ended up running into my roommate on the way, like up the hill. I'm just driving like 100 miles an hour up the hill, and he like waves me down. He's like, "F you going, bud?" Like, I'm not going back there. Can't do it.
The place is haunted.
Somewhere else. The place is haunted. We got a poltergeist. We got a little ghosty.
Yeah,
that was. I wasn't overly enthused about that at all.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So that's my honorable mention. And that is super creepy. And now Grayson watches ghost videos all day, every day. So my number one ghost story, Marion was sort of kind of there for this. We worked in an outdoor school in the San Bernardino Mountains above LA. We were there for like 4 months total. And I had a room with another woman, and it was 2 twin beds and a dresser and like a closet, and that was it. And I am a very heavy sleeper. My roommate had to be at camp to stay with kids that night, and so it was just me in the bedroom. And we lived with, I don't know, 7 other people. It was like Mary and myself, and then like 7 other people in the house.
Yeah, it was like 10 or 12 of us, and I was in the room across the hallway.
Yeah,
and I was still up when this first part happened.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember that. Well, I was asleep. I wouldn't know. So I fell asleep in my good little sleepy fashion, and I stayed asleep the whole night. And I woke up to a very hard tap on the shoulder twice. It went boom, boom, and it tapped me on the shoulder really, really hard. And I woke up thinking, oh, Michelle is back or something. No, there's nobody. I checked under the beds. I checked in all the drawers, even though somebody can't be in a drawer, but I checked the drawers. I checked the closet. I then locked the door and proceeded to like cry myself to sleep. And then I don't remember how long, but like an hour later, I felt the same tap, but on my head. And I woke up again, and I was like, what the fuck? Because now the bedroom door has been locked, and I still know nobody else is in the room. And I go downstairs in the morning, and I tell everybody what happened.
No, you tell me. This is the part that you don't remember. No. You tell me what happened.
Well, I remember, this is what I remember. You can correct my very bad memory, but I remember walking downstairs into the kitchen where you were, and I remember telling what I thought was the group, and then they all burst out laughing, and they proceed to tell me that they had tried a Ouija board the night before in my bedroom, and I apparently didn't wake up for any of it, but they did their Ouija thing, and then they didn't close it, and then they left the room and left the Ouija space open, the void, and then I felt two different taps.
Yeah.
How do you close a Ouija
remember
board?
It, from my perspective of it, was you were asleep, and I was in my room, and I was still awake, and I heard them like drunkenly come in and start laughing, and they invited me to come do the Ouija board. And I said no. And then they were doing the Ouija board in your room. And then in the morning, I came into your room, like you were still there, because I was sitting on Michelle's bed when you told me something really weird happened last night. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Like they were doing a Ouija board in here. And then I think you went down and confirmed with them that they did not close it. Yeah, because I was like, oh my God, like that's crazy. Because it was super weird, because like when you told me, you had no idea that, you know, they had done anything like in there. And I knew that you must have been asleep like during it. That was super, scary.
Did they not know that they had to say goodbye or like end
I don't think everyone knows that.
I didn't.
They didn't
research it. Now.
They did not research it. So they didn't go online and check like or read the like instructions from fucking Plato or whatever. They just
Gansborough
did a Ouija board and saw what happened.
Yeah, and the rude part was they did it in your room, not theirs.
Yeah,
and then
because they knew they were scared.
Oh my God. They're like, this woman's asleep. This is the best place for us to do this.
Yeah, so random.
Not a random bathroom.
I was so mad. And I think I made them go close it or something, because I was like, ain't no way I'm going to sleep in that room again. I was so mad.
Yeah. That's such a weird one, because it's not like that ever happened before again. It was so like crazy to be a coincidence. And I sleep really hard. Yes. So it was like, one, weird that I didn't wake up when they were in there, because there's like 7 people piled into my room. Apparently one of them told me they sat on my bed while they were doing it. Like I didn't wake up. And so then to wake up to taps, it must have been a hard tap, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah. Ouija boards. So this is why I didn't like, because that was before we all lived together. And then when I moved in with Mara, she had that Ouija board.
Yeah. I've heard this story like 7 times.
You did a patient. Good job.
But I mean, it's a good story. I like it. It's still creepy to listen to. Just the fact that things happening You had no idea. And you were like, guess what happened to me last night? And then Marion's like, guess what happened last night?
What happened to you last night?
You will never believe. Oh, man.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
It's not random. Yeah. My number one ghost encounter is when I went to college. This is post-Clyde, pre-apartment ghost. And I lived in a dorm room with a bunch of other sober people. We were in the non-substance dorm room. So like there was one person who would sometimes drink and then they would feel shamed by everyone when they would come back
Wow,
drunk.
sounds like religion.
Everyone else. Yeah, we were super cool. Anyway, so it started out quite the same where like there would be drafts or random doors closing or you would hear someone, but you wouldn't know like who it was or there'd be no one around. And I started jokingly because it's post Clyde. And so I don't know, maybe I'm more aware of things after him. So I would jokingly say, oh, it's the ghost of 609. There must be the ghost of 609. And we like would always joke, the whole group of us, about it. And then I was doing Ramadan like with my Muslim friend, Alin, and we would have to wake up before the sun rose. And in August, that was pretty fucking early. It was like 4:30 in the morning. We would have to wake up to like eat. And then we would go back to bed. And one morning he usually came and woke me up, but he didn't that morning. So I went down to his room and like opened the door to his dorm room. And he, you know, shared with another guy and they were both, you know, like on opposite walls and their feet were like to the door. And so when I opened the door and there was like, you know, in dorm rooms, how the hall light is always permanently on, like it's never off. So the hall light was like behind me and it's shining. And so I say to them like, hey, Alin, like it's about to be sunrise, like come out, we got to eat. And he was like, okay, I'll be right there. And I went into the living room and I got our stuff ready and he comes out and he goes, who's joining us? And I said, what do you mean who's joining us? And he said, the person who was like standing behind you, like, who is it?
God.
And I was like, no one was behind me. Like, what do you mean? And he was like, I could have sworn that like someone was standing behind you. And like when you came to wake me up. And so we ate very, very quickly, went straight back to bed. It was very freaky. And then later that day, I saw his roommate, John, as I was coming back from class. And John was like, oh, hey, how'd Ramadan go this morning? I said, all right. And he said, yeah, who was with you?
Oh,
and I said, what do you mean? Who was with me? He was like, you know, there was like someone with you when you woke up Alin. And I said, have you talked to Alin today? I was like, that was the like first question out of my, like, did you talk to Alin? And he's like, no, Alin was like gone for classes when I woke up. Like I haven't seen him all day. Why? And I'm like, because Alin also saw someone like standing behind me. So they both like separately saw and like witnessed this thing. And they're both at kind of different angles. Like, you know, one's on one side of the room, one's on the other,
so
looking
like,
at me.
Probably not your shadow. And if the light is directly overhead, the light's not coming
because
from
the light is in such a way, the shadow was in front of me.
Yes.
So that was the crazy part is like, where did this person, and like, they didn't say shadow. You know what I'm saying? Like they thought there was an actual person there. And like, if they can see me clearly, like, and they're both convinced that there's someone behind me. Like, it was just very like unnerving and creepy. And then we went on a ghost tour that Halloween, like somebody came to do like a little fun thing. And we're on a bunch of burial mounds for Indians from back in the day.
Classic Midwestern story right there.
Yeah, very inappropriate. And so he was taking us around the academic side of school and like pointing out like, oh, like something happened here. There's energy here. He had a little like EMG, EMP, whatever the fuck that is that people who hunt ghosts use. EMF. Thank you, Grayson. And so he like was walking on the edge of academic campus, and our building is a dormitory, but it's right on the edge. And we were just passing by, and unprompted, he like points and goes, oh, there's something really weird energy coming from that building. Like somebody definitely died in that building, like pointing at our residency building, like that he did not know we were in or anything. He didn't point out any of the other residency buildings, like just that one. And so then like the rest of the year, there weren't like many incidents that I can recall. But our senior year, we, like the week before we graduated, everyone who was in the dorm our freshman year decided to like reunite. And we were like, let's be ironic and funny. Let's like have our final drink at like college in our substance free dorm. Like, let's go back and have like a toast and like drink there. And so we went back and we were in the like, you know, the common area, and we like do our little toast, and then we decide to take a picture, and we have someone take a picture of us. And I posted on Facebook, don't think anything of it. 2 years later, my friend from 609 is looking at that photo, and she says, guys, the ghost of 609 is in this photo. And if you look at the photo, we can post it on our Instagram page for people to see. But if you look at the photo, in the upper left corner is this like transparent skull face. There's no other like way to describe it. And there's not like, nothing was hanging from the rafters. It doesn't look like it's hanging from something. Like it doesn't make any sense. It's just this like literal like ghost photo. And you can see in Facebook the pictures I took before and after. It's not like a smudge or something like on my lens. Like it's only in that one photo. And it's a photo that didn't have flash in it. Like, it's a very weird photo, but we decided that the ghost of 609 really wanted to like, you know, it used all of its energy to like manifest. So that way it could be in the photo with us. Yeah.
Kind of lonely story.
Yeah, I just wanted to be included.
Sad ghost.
Just wanted to be a college kid again.
Probably still is. You know, it's probably a college kid when they died.
I think the ghost liked that we acknowledged it. You know, I think it liked that someone was recognizing it. I think ghosts, you know, they just want to be seen. They just want to be known. It's got to be sad. Unless it's, you know,
unless there's like a whole ghost community,
right?
And we only
unless
see
the dimension,
like, you know, 1/150th of any interaction.
Yeah, unless the plane of existence and the dimension that they live in is like
ours,
not lonely at all. I guess is what I'm saying. Like it's much more in depth than we imagine it.
I mean, if there are ghosts, don't you think they interact with each other? They have little ghost friends.
Don't know. Depends on
the same
if
plane.
Yeah.
Like for me, I don't necessarily look at ghosts as like people who have died, like entity. You know what I'm saying? Like they could be. Like I really do see them more as pockets of energy. So it's hard to say if you could interact with another. What would be the rules of like two energetic things, you know, interacting with each other?
Maybe.
So you think
I see. Go ahead.
People that have died and become ghosts, and that there's just pockets of energy that don't have to do with anything dead people related?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. Definitely pockets of energy that maybe have nothing to do with someone dying.
Yeah.
For sure.
And you would classify them still as ghosts? Not just like the universe?
I mean, that might be paranormal activity.
Yeah.
Instead of ghosts.
Interesting.
But like paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
But
I liked the way my mom explained it, in that she thinks, and she was very clear that this is just her, like what she's come to believe, is that she also believes that it's like a spirit or a soul, and that it could have been a human at one point that then goes into that realm again, or it's just never been in a human form, and it like that's just how it like exists.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, it could be like a creature that doesn't. Yeah. I also think somebody once described it, I was listening to something, as like the idea of like when you take a photograph, how it's like a snapshot of one thing, like that maybe energy is trapped in like one thing. That's why like maybe sometimes we view ghosts as like aggressive, angry, like nice, like whatever, is because like it's a moment of intense emotion that's like trapped or captured, like a flash that keeps repeating itself over and over again. Like, so Clyde would have been a pretty like angry, aggressive energy. And like,
they're like stuck.
Yeah.
Or that moment is
Yes.
that specific moment of that energy is stuck. Interesting.
And the ghost of 619 might have just been like frat boy energy.
Yeah.
You know?
Wanted to focus on
Just
not
wanted
the
to hang.
negative.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grayson said something that I think is true. It takes an intense moment of feeling to leave an imprint of energy. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have a lot of like neutral. Well, maybe we do have like quote unquote neutral energy ghosts, but we don't see or feel or acknowledge it because it's not impacting us. So we only see like the wider side of the range, like the super angry, the super happy, or the super fat boy.
Or like those like moments of serenity that you have when you're just like walking along. Maybe you're walking through like neutral or like at peace. Maybe you're just coming through a neutral pocket.
I like that.
Yeah.
If I believed.
This is a good topic. I did not enjoy having now 3 things that I thought happened during this recording. There was a point where I could hear what sounded like an owl or a squeaky wheel or something.
Yeah.
And I kept taking off my headphones to try to listen to it. And it was so faint that I like couldn't necessarily hear it. So that's 3 things. One of them is explained.
You're bugging.
Personally, wish that we had done this one on Sunday because now it's 10 p.m. and I'm going to go to bed and I'm sure I'll fall right asleep after all of this.
Just think about the pocket of neutral energy.
I am me and they are me.
You just have to, I think you do have to believe like that the energy is not like, I think if you look for creepy things, you're going to find creepy things.
Yeah.
If you look for not so creepy things, you might find not so creepy things. That's just somebody putting stuff in the recycling outside the alleyway.
Okay.
It's a normal sound.
That's good. That's good.
Well, let's end on that one. That was good.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Do y'all have points?
I don't know that this is one that can do points.
Yeah. I was going to say, I feel neutral because I don't feel like I had an actual ghost encounter story to tell.
Yeah, it's really
Just
like
3
dependent on your
tangents.
personal experiences.
Yeah.
I'm okay being a
We all win.
tri-winner.
Woo!
Yeah.
Is this my first win?
That means we actually all lose because there's not an actual winner. So
Yeah.
you
We're
can't
sorry.
celebrate this, Kara.
We're try losers.
Yeah. Try newts.
Wow.
Neutral.
Way to attract the negative.
Oh my God. Okay. This has been my top everything. I'm your host, Marion.
I'm Kara.
And I'm Mara.
If you have comments, questions, concerns, go ahead and email us at
mytopeverythingpodcast@gmail.com.
My
Sure
top
people
everything podcast at gmail.com.
Did you enjoy that interruption?
I waited till you were done.
Not you, Kara.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to prove that I knew the email because last time Mara didn't.
What? Nobody was asking you to not.
Ma'am.
Sir?
Okay. What's a neutral ma'am, sir?
I am. Human.
Neutral ma'am, sir.